So you've got this fabulous newborn sleeping in a bassinet or a crib in your room, or maybe your baby's older and you're wondering, how do I transition them to the nursery? Well, you're in the right place, because that's what we're going to talk about here today. Hey there, I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. I'm a chiropractor by training who found their passion empowering parents just like you to teach their little ones to sleep and parent confidently day and night as a sleep consultant. So, when and how should you move your little one out of your room? Well, first, let's just recognize that the American Academy of Pediatrics would like you to room share until 6 months and 12 months ideally. That's a really long time. They introduced these guidelines in 2016 when they created the Back to Sleep program to help reduce the incidence of SIDS, and it has worked. But I will tell you, by 6 to 12 months of age, your child is much more distractible, much more aware of where you are. In fact, we have evidence to show, a study by Paul et al. In 2017 showed that kids who slept in their own room at 4 months slept longer stretches of sleep and had more sleep overall, and this difference was noticeable again at 9 months of age. In addition, a lot of us new moms are tuned in to every little noise that a little person makes, and we hear everything. So the quality of a parent's sleep is often reduced when the child is still in their room. When you decide to move your child to your own room is really a personal decision. We all have different needs, thresholds, and experiences. If you had a traumatic birth or trouble conceiving, you might want your child closer to you for a longer period of time than someone else. If it works for you, it works for me. My personal experience was that I had my first close to me for about 4 months, and I had 4 months of terrible sleep interruption. I heard every little noise that he made. With my second, I transitioned her closer to 6 weeks because I felt much more confident. In addition, let's not forget that since these guidelines were published in 2016 by the American Academy of Pediatrics, our monitoring technology has improved immensely with monitors that can notice, breathing rate. The technology is much different. When and how do you do this? Well, the first 3 tips for helping you get your little one into their own room would be, 1, I want you to start spending some time in that room during the day. Maybe you play on the floor a little bit. I wouldn't play in the crib. You want to send the message that the crib is for sleeping rather than playing. So you only want to be putting them in there when it's time to be sleeping. The second thing you can do is start doing your nap time or your bedtime routine in that room and then putting them down in the bassinet or in your room if that's still where they're at. And then the third thing that you can do is start moving your child farther and farther away from you in your room. So we had a really small house and I had a bassinet with my son, and each night I would move it 2 more feet away from me, 2 more feet away from me. At one point he was actually sleeping in the hallway, which really seems like a bad idea now that I look back, but it was just this gradual methodical approach that helped me manage the anxiety that I had about moving him further away. Do you have to do these things? You don't have to do them. You could go cold turkey moving him into his nursery. It depends on kiddo's age. Less than 4 months, they probably won't even really notice. It's harder on you than it is on them. After 4 or 5 months, yes, they may then notice the environment they're in. And whether or not they protest that really depends on a child's temperament. Some kids make this transition no problem at all. The other thing we can mention is if you want to transition to the crib from the bassinet. So most kids tend to start to outgrow a bassinet around 4 or 5 months of age. They start hitting the sides, they start to get too long. In addition, most kids can start to roll somewhere around 5 months and they need more space, especially if you plan on teaching your baby to sleep, right? That's what we talk about in the Helping Babies Sleep method, because sleep is a skill that you have to learn. So to really have a great sleeper sleep through the night, they need to be able to have control over their body and their positioning, and that often includes putting themselves into a favorite position or even rolling onto their stomachs. We always put kids down on their backs, but if they can roll both ways, they are safe to sleep on their stomachs. So again, you could go cold turkey straight into the crib from the bassinet, or you could do it more gradually where you move the bassinet maybe into the nursery beside the crib, keep putting them down in the same sleeping environment but a different room for a few days, and then move them into the bassinet. If you're looking for more baby sleep tips, right? We teach how to help your little one be a great sleeper with gentle newborn sleep shaping in the newborn stage and sleep teaching after 4 months inside of Helping Babies Sleep School, our online program. But if you're looking for some quick tips to implement tonight with no tears, you can check out our sleep quiz, 6 simple questions to help you figure out what your child's ideal sleeping times are, how much sleep they need, and things that you can implement tonight. Don't forget to hit subscribe to never miss another baby sleep tip.